Alright, so it's been a couple of days since you would have last seen me try and figure out this board. The last thing you saw was me swapping in my power board from my system, my working one, into the main board and seeing that video corruption. But like I said, it's a few days later and I want to get back to this power board. Now, one thing I wanted to note is that don't believe anything you read online, even if you're the person in the past telling you. Because one of the things I noted was these transistors are, good enough replacements for the stock, the C-3001 and C-945. And they kind of are, but they also kind of aren't. And one thing that I forgot is also that they're not just drop-in pin compatible. But even after swapping around the pins, they still just didn't want to work. What I did though was I did take the factory, the 2001 and 945 out of my working board and put them in this board, and this board just came to life. So everything else in here is fixed. It's just those two transistors that are still a problem, and the modern-ish replacements are not working. Doesn't matter. Local supplier, Wagner Electronics, stocks new, I guess, 2001s and C945s. So I just ordered a couple, got them. Let's put the new transistors in, the actual spec ones, and move on. Okay, so the 945, that one, 945, goes on the bottom. So let's just spread the pins out a touch. Pop that in. Also, the unfortunate part of so much rework, going back and forth and swapping swapping transistors and trying different things, I have actually partially removed the traces from underneath the board, but thankfully, I'll show you in a second. I don't know if that's coming through. You can see where the brown spot is there. It's on the outside of the thingy, so it's not actually damaging the traces. It's just removing a little bit of the the surface area around the pin. So I will not necessarily need to repair that. I just need to be very careful when I solder them back in that I don't damage them further. But yeah, taking it in and out so many times, it's taken its toll, especially on single-sided boards like this because there is no plated through hole. The via doesn't go all the way through, so the copper is just on this side, and the constant heating and cooling and heating and cooling cycles loosens and breaks up the glue, which can flake up the copper. So anyway, let's get these in. So what I've done there is I've just bent those legs, there we go, in the direction that the remaining copper was, so that it gives an actual good, solid connection. All right, now when we turn this board on, and get it stable on the board here, what do we get? All right, it is drawing 6 milliamps, which is exactly what it should be with no load. So, final test, let's bring in the multimeter. Pop that in voltaires, and we should check on the output capacitor here and have a high voltage. Yeah, 11.6 volts. Perfect. So that's exactly what we should be seeing. That means the voltage regulation part of this circuit is working fine. It's generating 12-ish volts for the LM op amp down here, and this board is now repaired. So yeah, 2 transistors and I think 2 capacitors that also needed replacing. What a pain. Okay, moving on. Let's pop this back in the main board and see what we can do about that video corruption. Board's back out. We've got our repaired video board back in. Power's hooked up. We've got our video hooked up to the capture, and let's flick the power on and see what we get. Oop, got a doot. Flip runner. Yeah, okay, so there's our corrupted video again. But look at that, we are getting power. That is not good at all. Looks like it's interrupting memory because the CPU is doing weird things. I wonder if that is our video chip, the TMS 9929ANL. I guess what we can try is what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in our basic cartridge because it doesn't use as many graphical elements of the TMS chip, and it really just draws text to the screen. So I wonder if that will give us a better picture. Let's see. Okay, here is our level 3 basic. This should do multiple tests actually, because what it will do will like I said, use less of the video processing, but it will also, at the start of it, it tests memory because it includes memory. So it's a kind of like a multi-test thing here. Let's see. Got the same doot. And yep, there we go. Beep, beep, beep. 3 short beeps. So we have a memory failure. Okay, let me go look up what 3 beeps on the basic cart means. Well, my thoughts were confirmed. Those 3 beeps, so apparently the basic cart, the startup 2 beeps means a system RAM, 3 beeps is video RAM, which is this row of chips right here. Now we have to try to figure out which one. Okay, let's power it on and let's just see if one of them's getting hot. It's worth a shot. Oh, there we go, 3 beeps. Beep, 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 beep. Doing a very scientific touch test. No, they're all the same. There's no raised temperature at all. No. The TMS isn't getting hot either. Yeah, so no, nothing's getting particularly warm. All right, let's do just a visible inspection. Let's just check. I'm literally just checking if there's any obvious breaks or tears or broken solder joints, things like that. What I'm doing as well is I'm just rocking the board back and forth with my hands like that, and that'll just simulate chip movement and bring any cracks to the forefront, but no, they all look perfect and solid. The same with the TMS chip, that looks great. So no, I can't see anything wrong there. Not to say that there isn't, and I should check with a multimeter, but visual inspection is usually pretty good. Give it an ocular pat down. So we need to identify which of these ICs is at fault. I think at this point I'm gonna have to bust out the oscilloscope again. Joy. Okay, so we have the scope set up here. I've just got a really long earth lead to the thing, just so I have some space. Don't worry about that. It's not going to introduce enough noise to stress. We have our memory chips down here. Let's move those more into the center. Okay. And we've got load runners still plugged in. Scope's on. I've got the scope set at 1 volt per division, and it's down a bit, so you should be able to see 5 volts, like the second line from the top there. And it is set with about a 2 volt trigger and in 1 microsecond timing, 1 microsecond per division left and right. So if we turn this on right now and just probe at random, we should see, yeah, memory. So that it looks like just fine memory. So it's going up. What is that? That is yeah, we're maxing out at about 4.8 volts, which is pretty healthy. Okay, so looking at the pinout here, these are our VRAM chips, well, they're DRAM, but yeah, IC10 through IC17, that's IC10 through IC17, and they are 16K by 1 DRAMs. So we've got our address lines, RAS-CAS, write enable, and our data input and output. So let's double check those. We've got VSS is high. Oh, I'm upside down. Apologies. The VSS is low and VCC is high. Okay, cool. So our data in will be, let's flip that around because my brain is melting. Data in is on this pin right here. And that looks fine. Let's check that across all of them. Yep. 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 And yes. And then our data out is 14, which is this one across the way here. That looks good. Also good. Yep. Ah. Hello. Oh, there we go. Doesn't look right though. Considering how active the other ones are, I don't somehow believe that this bit... Oh, there we go. Oh, I guess it was just a memory thing. Oh, no, it's this one. Yeah, that doesn't seem right. That is not enough activity. And too much of a repeating pattern where the other data out bits looked a lot more active. Here you can see that they're big bursts of highs with lots of little bursts, whereas this one is just that occasional blip, 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 blip coming up from ground, and it's dead most of the time. I think that IC13 is going to be our culprit. But let's check the other data outs. So, yep, that looks like regular and random activity. Same there. Oh, yep, there we go, more data activity. And again, so yeah, IC13. Data out pin is looking sus. It is outputting, but it doesn't appear to be what I'd consider to be correct data, if that makes sense. So, what I will do, let's turn this off so I get less annoying sounds in my ear. What I'm going to do is, I wonder if I can tech that with my retro tube tester. So, let's grab that out. Let's have a quick scroll through and see if we support that. DRAM, common, uncommon, common, let's try common. So what are you? You are 8118. It's 2118, which is 16 by 1, so it's probably perfect for that. So I think I'll get that chip out, IC13, let's extract that, and then I'll run it through the chip tester and see what it says. Sounds like a plan. That should now be loose. Let's pry it up. Pop it in our tester. Let's see what we get. It doesn't even register. No. Yeah, it doesn't register at all. So yes, that is definitely our problem. Well, a problem, not necessarily our problem. Well, I can't test it right now because I don't have a replacement of these. The only ones that I do have are in my existing unit, and I don't really want to pull those out just right now. So I've confirmed in the retro chip tester that this does not work. It is not registering as a valid IC at all. So I will go off and find a replacement, whether that be online, China, who knows. Maybe jump on the AliExpress or eBay, see what we get. Come back when we've got a replacement and continue testing. There we go. All right, back in a bit. Right, so I was just doing a bit of research, having a look at the pinout for the MB81118 and, you know, what it actually is. It is a 16K by 1 bit DRAM, and, well, it looks like the pinout for the A118 actually really closely matches the 4164 that I have gobs of. The only difference is the 4164 is a 64K by 1, and if you have a look at the two pinouts, I'll pop them up on the screen here, they're pretty much identical, except the 4164 exposes that A7, that additional address line, to give it the more memory range. But otherwise, if you just ignore address 7 line, it'll work as a an 8118 or a 2118 or a 4517 or whatever they are. Yeah. A 16K by 1 bit DRAM. So should be fine to just drop one of these in. And what I wanted to do was just confirm that by grabbing the retro chip tester here again. This is the 2118 test that I checked before. If we put our dead chip back in, check it again, still says it's dead, but if we pop in one of these 4164s, let's grab this one from the bottom, and yes, it will, you know, a 2118 tests, sorry, a 4164 tests just fine as a 2118. So I have absolute confidence in popping this in. Now, for that address line, ideally, Yeah, test passed. So ideally I wouldn't want to leave that floating like that. You'd either want to drive it high or low down to ground. I don't think it matters at this point, so I'm going to leave it, test it out. I'll test it pretty thoroughly, and if it does pose a problem, I can always just throw in a bodge down to a ground. But yeah, let's pop that in like there. I'm going to pop in a socket first. So these are, that is 8, so I need a dip 16. That's lucky. Hopefully I don't have another one. I have to put that on the to-do list to pick up more. Solder that in, pop the chip in, and then I'll give this another test. There's our socket in. Let's pop the IC in, making sure that it's upside down because this board is kind of weird. Just bend the pins, the right orientation. Put that in. All right. We're good to test. So we've still got our power in, cartridge in, and let's hit record. Give it some power, see what we see. Oh. Helps if I turn my capture on. There we go. All right. Now let's see what we see. Power. Ooh, okay. Same thing. That's not good. All right, there must be more broken memory? Interesting. What happens if we pop that out while it's running? What do we get? Yeah. Nothing good. Pop it back in and we get back to the same. Okay, so there's clearly more video problems at fault here. So keep digging.
Many hours later.
Yep, just giving random crap. Look at that. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 data bits, we only had 3 known good, or 3 tested good ICs. The rest have all failed in some way or another. So there you go, look at that. What a pile of junk. So since this one worked great, I'm just gonna pop in 4164s into the rest of these. And I don't have any more sockets, unfortunately, so I will just be soldering them straight down. I don't think that's a big deal. Yeah, I'll just get to that and keep going. Well, there we have it. A fullish complement of new memory installed. Now, as you can see, I did take out the socket that I had in there before, just because I didn't want to have just one socketed when all the others were hardwired in. So those 5 chips are back in. The other 3 tested fine, so I'm fine with leaving them in. So let's give it a test. Let's pop our power board back in. Still got power, still got video. Cart, we've got basic in, that's fine. Let's turn it on, see what we get now. Still a VRAM issue. Wow, it is not happy. Oh yeah, that one looks bad. Yeah, that one looks bad. Okay. While I'm waiting for my desolder gun to heat up, let's test a couple more 4164s and actually verify that these ones work. Case in point. Oh, that's interesting. It worked on the second try. I wonder if a lot of this is to do with that floating address line. Now the thing is, these are all ICs that I have confirmed working as 4164s. It's just that they're randomly failing the 2118 test. I think that is due to the floating A7 address line and the different chips, because these are all obviously Chinese remarks, and the different whatever that was remarked, how it handles that floating address line. So yeah, see, if you touch it, it goes, and that's what happens with the floating address line. So I think what we'll do instead of what I'm doing now is I think I'm just going to bodge those address lines down, because I'm pretty sure that's the problem. So let's do that. Let's bodge all those address lines. Now, because they all are going down to ground, I'm just going to run one bodge wire for all of them, and that will suffice, and I won't have to worry about, doing each individual pin. And I'm just going to use a little bit of this this little wire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So it's that one in that top corner, and there's this one now in this bottom left corner. So I'm literally just going to bodge every IC together, including the ones that don't need it. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, and then we should just be able to break the wire off. So now that wire nice and bodged across, let's give this another try with the basic card. All right, it's still entirely possible that those chips aren't good, so let's test them again. Let's see those data outlines. Okay. Yeah, no, they still look like crap. So let's take those two chips out still. Yeah. And I just remembered, I completely forgot to hook that bodge wire up to ground. I broke it off before I got that far, so let's do that. Let's pop the bodge wire back in here. Okay, and I'm just gonna hook it up to ground, which is this guy up at the top here. Okay. Now I think we might be ready. Let's give it another try. Basic. Look at that. Now, the scrolling that you can see is noise added by my bench power supply. Ignore that, that's not the system. But solid video and the memory test completed. Ha! Let's give it a shot with Load Runner. Load Runner. Look at that. Oh, looks great. And game runs perfectly. Oh, that's awesome. Yep. That's exactly what I expected Lode Runner to look like. That is so cool. Very awesome. Okay. Well, now, next thing we need to do is test the inputs. So I'm going to have to get this unit all the way back together. So I'm going to clean up all that flux. I'll do that off camera. I need to put it back in the main unit, plug the keyboard back in, and then we can test the keyboard's working, and I will plug in a joystick and test that the joystick inputs are working as well. And hopefully that's it, but we'll see. Okay, so we're back together. I've got a board back in the board back in the case. I've soldered the switch back on. Now what we need to do is just wire this. Well, this is the power LED up to, now I believe it was the tip of this little resistor right here. Right there, that is after the switch, and then the top of this inductor. So, you know, I don't know which way this goes. I can't remember. So what I'll do is I'll just power this on. And let's just press it like that. We don't get anything. And that way, looks like we get something. It's very dim though. So it's coming on, yeah, it's not even dim, so I might have to, I don't even have to replace that LED. It's kind of weird. So, it looks like I'm taking the keyboard apart. Probably better to do that anyway, since I need to, I probably want to give this a proper clean before I give it back. So I'm gonna pull this apart and get back to you soon. Okay, now I'm being very careful because I don't know what's under here. Lift this back plate off. And yep, as expected, it is indeed membrane. And there we go. There's the layers of membrane, and there's our LED. Yeah, it's pretty dirty in here. So, oh, and there's some bugs. Yuck. All right. Ew. Yeah, it's probably for the best that we pull this apart and give it a proper clean out. Ah, that's gross. Okay. Well, let's take all of these rubber caps out. It doesn't looks like there's, oh no, they're just moved. So yeah, there's no caps missing. So when I put it back together, just put caps in all the right spots. And that is that. Looks good. Let's do it. Now, do I want to take the keys out? I genuinely don't know how they're held in. So I'm gonna say no. I'm guessing that they're staked on from the front and I could just lift them out and they'd pull off these bases. But I don't want to risk breaking any of these. So I think I'm just going to clean as much as I can without taking it apart. Yeah, so let's do that. Alrighty. Much nicer. This guy right here, this is the membrane. So this is multiple layers. I don't really want to peel them apart, but you can see there's multiple layers of plastic. And in between those layers, there's traces on one side, and there's traces on the other side, and then there's a conductive membrane in between the two. And the plunger, oops, the plunger here depresses one of these pads, which presses down on this side, which compresses the layer on the outside with the conductive layer on the inside to the layer on the bottom, and that completes the circuit. And that's how these crappy keyboards work. They're not as bad as things like the foam and foil, but they're still a rubber membrane. And yeah, the conductive internal layer does eventually wear out. This one actually looks not too bad, so what I'll do, I will just use a bit of window cleaner, just Ajax spray and wipe on a wipey cloth here just to take off that top layer of dirt and grime. And that'll do. You don't want to really separate these layers because they are bonded together at the moment. So yeah, just get rid of the dust. Okay, and the same for these connectors here. Beautiful. Now, I want to get that LED out, so I'm just going to hold it with my fingers here while I pull and apply to the two pins. Now, what I want to do also, I was holding it in that orientation so I can just see which side is which. And I don't know because the flat side is parallel to the two pins. Yeah, so that flat side there and the two pins are here. Normally the flat side would be on one side of the pin or not. Okay, so I guess it doesn't really matter because it just looks like the two wires go straight to the LED. So we will make the negative one the wire with the stripe. Job done. Let's check what's up with this LED. With my old LED tester here. Yeah, I think this LED is just old and burnt out. That's 20 milliamps. Even at 50 milliamps, it is dull. So let's grab, that is a green. Will that fit? Looks like a 4mm, because this is a 5mm and it's slightly too small. And this is a 3mm. Yeah, it's slightly bigger than that. So I think a 5mm. Probably the best option. Let's double check and see what. So that's 20 milliamps on the new LED, yeah, versus 50 milliamps on the old LED. So yeah, it's just a burnt out old LED. All right, let's double check if that'll fit before we proceed. So first of all, will it fit on the holder? Yeah, easily. Second of all, will it fit through the hole? No. Okay, so we can either make that hole bigger or we can use a smaller LED. I don't really want to make the hole bigger. Does 3mm. 3mm fits fine, but it's a little small. I'm going to go with the 3mm, and the owner can at some point in the future change that to a perfect fitting size if he so desires. So let's get that in the hole. Okay, finally, let's get these back together. So, wire, now that we've got that, let's double check where we go. So, if we turn that on, like so, we get a bright LED. So that is the way that that's wired up. Let's just tack those in place just now. Just hook that wire around the bottom of that resistor lead. Then we can put these really annoying cables in. These ones aren't too bad, and the ends don't look horrible, but I am still going to just wipe them down with a little bit of alcohol, because as you can see, they're still disgusting. Yeah. Yeah. And where is it? A bit of deoxit in the sockets, just to ensure they come out down the line and there's no oxidation on those pins. All right. All right, now let's give it a test. Okay, let's test. Now it seems kind of obvious, I want to test the keyboard, so I've got basic in. Let's give it some power, see what we get. Hey, there we go. I forgot how long basic takes to start up. All right, now again, just ignore the scrolling lines. This is just my power supply injecting noise. It's really annoying. Otherwise, the picture looks pretty damn good. Do we have keyboard? Yes, excellent. All right, let's do a quick basic check to just, test things. So, standard one. Hello world, perfect. And do we have brake? Where's brake? Brake, perfect. Let's check all of the keys. We don't have pi. Maybe that's just not working in basic. We should also have lowercase, yep. And do we have functions? Yep, that works well. Home clear, and that will go home, yep. Insert, we'll insert, override, and we have delete as well. And we have all the engineering characters and the graph characters. Yeah, and that key does work if I choose something that isn't pi, so I'm happy with that. Do we have arrows? We have break and reset. Full working keyboard. That's awesome. All right, next on the list is the joystick ports. So let me grab my joystick and I'll plug Zaxxon back in. Load Runner, or maybe Zaxxon. Oh, we'll see. And let's give it a shot. Okay, so I've got Zaxxon card in the thing. I also have my really cool SJ300 joystick plugged into joyport 1. Let's turn it on and see how Zaxxon goes. Love that startup. Logo is awesome. Button works. Oh, good intro sounds. That sound generation chip is fantastic. And yeah, left and right, up and down. Firing works. Yep. This is perfect. Yeah. Alright. And I suck at Zaxxon. Either way, it works. So I am happy with that. Now the last thing to do is just button this up and get it back to its owner. Or I'd maybe play some games. We'll see. Thanks for watching.